And welcome back to Astro Self Care Sunday. My name is Kenya. It's good to see you all. If you are watching this the day that is released, happy Easter. Happy Easter. And today, such a fitting title for the season, Rise Up, Personal Renewal and Rebirth. So, what I decided to do to talk about today, basically, happy Taurus season, because today is the first day of Taurus season. But I decided to talk because of it being this holiday. And whether you honor it, you don't, it's just another day for you, you're watching it later. I still really want to talk about this concept of renewal and rebirth and how we rise to that and how to use astrology for that. Okay. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you are saying hello in the comments. And more than that, push subscribe. Our subscribers are going up. Now the goal is 2K. Those of you who've been along for a long time, you remember when the goal was 1K? I'm just a few, hundreds from 2K. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell so that, and you get all the notifications. So whenever I release these videos or anything else, you get notified. Okay. If you're an old school, you've been here for a while, make sure you say hello. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you share this video so that we can just continue to have these really interesting conversations around who we are. That's really what this is about, and how we take care of ourselves using this magical tool that I love so much of astrology. If what you hear in this next 25 minutes or so resonates with you, I would love, love, love for you, beyond subscribing and clicking the liking and all the things. I would love for you to visit where it says there, scrolling by, linktree, linktr.ee/Kenya MJ Music. Make sure you go there. You can subscribe to my email list. You can also book an astrology guidance reading. And make sure you book like now because our services and our rates are going to be shifting a bit starting in May. So if you want to capture the lower costing of a live reading, then you want to get on there. And as long as you book the session can be in the future, but as long as the booking occurs before April 30th, you'll be honored with our current rate. Our current rate will still exist, but it will be a little bit different. It won't be a live reading, it would be for a recorded reading. But our live readings, those rates are going up. So, totally excited to be growing and building. I also want to say, if you are watching this before May 5th, and you're wondering, who is this Kenya who's talking to you? I got some stories. Got a lot of stories. In addition to doing the astrology, I really use the astrology as a coach. I use astrology to help people have transformations and breakthroughs. And one of the things that I realize is that I really haven't told my transformation story, my breakthrough story. And so on May 5th, I'm doing a virtual event, virtual experience where I'm just going to get on line and I'm going to tell my story. How I went from singing in my shower to hitting Billboard charts. That is the truth. How I went from a 21-year marriage, got a divorce, and am currently in a really, really amazing, beautiful, loving partnership at the age, and I'm over 50. I'll talk about how I did that. I'll share how I went from basically after that divorce, having less income than I made at the age of 21 to now reaching six figures. All of that. And I'm not telling all of these breakthrough stories just so that you can be like, right? I'm telling it because I want to offer you the same pathway so that you can have your personal transformation. There is a bit of a, I don't want to say formula, but there's absolutely a pathway. I was very intentional with each of those things that I've just mentioned. They did not just land on my lap. Obviously, there were some aspects that felt very serendipitous for sure, but there was a lot of intentional work, intentional soul work, intentional mind work, and intentional action that I had to take. So, if you want to be a part of that, if you go to that same link that's scrolling in the bottom there, the link tree, you'll see it says I Choose Me. When you go to that link, you'll see an event called I Choose Me. Click on that. It's free to RSVP. Or you can go to my website, which is findingyourvoiceafter40.com. You'll see it on the homepage, or you can go to findingyourvoiceafter40.com/breakthrough. And breakthrough is spelled the regular way, not THRU. BREAKTHROUGH. Okay. So, but if you just go to findingyourvoiceafter40.com, you'll see it on the homepage. RSVP is free. And again, I'll be sharing more intimate stories, how those breakthroughs happen for me. I have never shared all of those details publicly like that. I've talked a lot about going through divorce. I've talked about my partnership, but I haven't really talked about what the intentional steps I took to make those breakthroughs happen. So, all right, to get into this rise up. Rise up. Now, I was thinking I was going to talk about the first house today, but things got shifted. No worries. We're going to get there. But next Sunday, I will be putting a post up, but I want to invite you to watch my Taurus video, which is in the playlist, in the Astro Self-Care Sunday playlist. You'll see a video just on Taurus. I won't be having a new video that's coming out next Sunday. I don't believe, at least not on the Sunday. I want you to learn though about Taurus because this is the season. So we're going to talk all things Taurian when I do come back with video. But what I really, because it is a holiday and I realized, oh, this is releasing on Easter. Whether again you celebrate it, don't, I want you to be thinking about your own personal rise up. How are you rising up in your life? What are you doing right now to create a sense of renewal, a sense of rebirth? Are you feeling like you need something different, but you're not exactly sure what that means, what that looks like? If you are in the middle of, I'm in my rise, I'm rising up, I'm in my renewal, let's look at the astrology of your chart to see exactly how that's correlating and how that's aligning. And again, if you are not sure at all about your rise up and you want to figure out ways to do that, then I'm going to tell you today there are 4 parts of the chart that I want you to particularly pay attention to when we think of renewal, when we think of rebirth. Now, those of you who are astrologers or really into astrology, don't be coming down for me. Don't be putting in the comments, but you didn't also include you. Astrology is a bit of an art too, but these are what I want to be able to lend and what I think I can be done in 25 minutes to tell you about. So the 4 things I want you to pay attention, and actually it's really kind of like 5 things. First of all, you need to know your rising sign for today. You do need to know your rising sign. So that means you need to know your time. So if you're like, what is that? Book a reading with me, but you got to have your time of birth because that's really the best way for us to figure all this out. If you don't have your time of birth, which means you don't have your rising, there's still ways to rise up, okay, and look at renewal. But today I'm talking in the context as though you do. And so the houses are something that we've got to really be thinking about. But the 4 things I want you to really pay attention to are and I'm looking at my notes. So sometimes I have my notes in tabs. I don't have it today. It's old school paper. Anyway, your north node and your south node. So north node, south node, where your Chiron is. Chiron looks like the little key. And where Saturn is. Okay. So our north node is going to be related more to our rebirth. Our south node is going to be, and our rise up, really the north node is our rise up. Our south node is going to be really related to what we're needing to let go of so that, or what we're needing to shift gears, but particularly the low frequency of things of where our south node is in order for the rebirth to happen. Okay. Chiron is our wounded healer. So it's kind of doing both. It's looking at the healing. It's looking at what parts of us are hurt. What is the insecure places? Where might we feel not as courageous, not as secure, not as capable, even wounded, hurt? And how might we heal that and then pay it forward? Because Chiron is interested in not only your healing, but it's also interested in your ability to pay it forward and help other individuals who have a similar situation as you, where you could be of service. Okay. And then Saturn. And I added Saturn. I didn't originally have in my mind to talk about Saturn. But I added Saturn because Saturn is how it's the area it's trying to teach us how to work, where we need to work at. Okay, where we need to work at. So North Node, you want to find out what part of your life, what house is your North Node. Okay, what house? So let's say that your North Node is in the 10th house. I'm just making this up, y'all. Okay. Let's say it's in the 10th house of Aries. Ooh, lots going on with Aries too. So when I see North Node, then that rise up means, because North Node means what the soul, what your life, human soul experience has come here to really achieve, what it's come here to accomplish, what it's going to take some time, and we may not necessarily even connect to it, but it's absolutely what the soul wants to experience. Okay, and hence an opportunity to rise up toward. So if we're playing pretend and there's this North Node in Aries, then that's telling me, oh, North Node, Aries, 10th house. That's telling me 10th house is what? Career and public and reputation. So this is a soul that wants to be seen ultimately. It wants its energy for to be witnessed, not just amongst cousins, but the world. Yeah, the outside world. North Node, 10th house. Woo. And then North Node Aries is being a leader within that, confident within all of that. Okay. So, North Node, wherever your North Node is at, that's the part of life where the rise is trying to go. I use the 10th house as an example. If it's in the first house, that's self. The rise up is actually with self identity, how, again, the I am, how I understand myself, my own level of confidence and power, the leader in my own life, whether that's public or not, it's about self. Okay. So you want to find that's where your rise up is. Your south node is what's going to help with this whole renewal and rebirth because it's going to teach us what we need to let go of. So south node is always completely opposite of north node. It's always on the opposite sign. So in this example, the opposite of Aries would be Libra. And so what tends to happen is our south node is where we feel the most comfortable. And I've done a whole series on this to go through every house and to talk about all the south node, north node, because I think it's super, super important for the type of work that I do around astrology, which is that self-care, which is that deep healing. We have to look at what do I need to let go of to make room for the rise up. Okay. So for this example, the south node would be in Libra. Okay. And it would be in the fourth house. Fourth house is family, mom, dad, our roots. And so when I see a south node sitting in the fourth house, that's telling me this is a person who's probably had more comfort zone in kind of the home life, in the family life, or has had some level of conditioning or some level of whatever, depending on what else is going on in the chart, where home is where the comfort level is, but it's being asked to let go of, not let go of home and just forget home, but let go of some of the lower frequency of Libra, because Libra is what's sitting right across from Aries. So if my north node is in Aries, my south node is going to be in Libra. And the lower frequency aspects of Libra is that people pleasing, that's trying to be so cooperative that you lessen self. omitting self, omitting certain things in order just to keep the peace. So that kind of thing, that whole minimizing and people pleasing, it's really asking we have to let go of that so we can renew ourselves and become our rise up, which is the leader in our own life. That's how we can look at astrology. That's what I would say. Your rise up, if you have, is your north node. Your renewal is about letting go whatever is in your south node so you can make room for that. Okay. Hope we're following. Yes. And if you're not, book a reading so I can tell you, because depending on some factors will be what that journey will be like. But I think this is really important because it sets you up for kind of the main points when we're looking at purpose and what this is about. And so then Chiron. So let's say that this person's Chiron, I don't know, let's say the Chiron is in the fifth house or and it's in like Gemini. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, right? If I'm looking at the fifth house, and that wouldn't be the case for this person, because I said 10th house, fourth house. This person, if I had Chiron and Gemini, then it would be in the 12th house. Okay. But what you want to find, because that's just how the chart works. And those of you who are like, what? Don't worry about that. Just in your chart, find where Chiron is. Because Chiron, again, is where the wounding. And again, this is then the work. Because in order for me to really get to that rise up, I can't just wish the rise up. I can do my affirmations and my meditations and my prayer, absolutely. But the soul came here to learn. It came here to grow. It came here to heal. So Chiron are those things that happened in our childhood. Okay. Chiron is that wounding that not necessarily always intentional wounding. It could be generational, ancestral, that's just generationally been constantly happening. And here you karmically have it. But our Chiron is about something that happened in our childhood, either from our families, our parents, our siblings, teachers, friends in school, grammar school, those things that left us feeling not secure in that energy. So, like with a Chiron and Gemini is always suggestive of I'm not completely confident and comfortable with my intelligence and my mindset and my words. And so, depending on a variety of things, that can show up many, many ways. And Chiron and Gemini is very much prevalent in the millennial generation because of how Chiron, how long it stays in one sign, and that happens to be a lot of people who are millennials have that Chiron in Gemini. Some have that Chiron in Taurus, but depending on just kind of what age you are, but Chiron, if I have Chiron and Gemini, then the work that I'm doing, part of my renewal is my thinking and trusting my thinking. Because it's not that I've got to learn how to think. You're smart. You got it. You got the intelligence. It's you believing that and not needing the words and the affirmation from everybody else to make you feel that way, i.e., social media. It's about you affirming your own thoughts and allowing your intellect to stand without constantly needing some type of, like I said, affirmation, but you providing your own affirmation, you speaking into life what it is you need in order to become the leader in your life, as I'm using this example of this chart, okay, if it were a person. So you see how the Chiron is creating the room for the healing. And while you speak that into your life will eventually cause the renewal and the rise up. And the rise up and the renewal and the rebirth is if we, as we work through whatever is going on with our Chiron, then again, that pay it forward. I'm going to help others speak their voice as well. I'm going to help others really feel affirmed in their intelligence. I'm going to teach you so that you will feel more confident in how you learn. Okay. See how that works. Rise up. Personal rebirth renewal. And so then lastly, Saturn. So where do I want this Saturn to be? I don't know. I'm going to say the Saturn is in Aquarius. I just feel like it. Okay. So Saturn is saying, all right, we got this. I don't know if I want to do Saturn in Aquarius because Saturn in Aquarius, Well, I'll say this, Saturn in Aquarius does well because Saturn is a ruler of Aquarius, so it's going to do well. But maybe, I don't know, maybe the Saturn, wherever Saturn is, Saturn is teaching us to work at this. Saturn is about, it's not, Saturn is not this little planet that's just like, well, girl, it's a little hard. Cause I know Saturn returns, people are like, oh, it's just going to be whatever. Cause Saturn return. Saturn return is about how are we working to accomplish and be in alignment with who we are and what it is we want to accomplish and do. So the reason I bring up Saturn is because wherever Saturn sits in your chart, that's what you want to look at. Oh, this is whatever sign that is. If I keep it Saturn in Aquarius, that's about my innovation. That's about me being really disciplined into my knowing and my understanding. And for this person, based on kind of, I'm using this scenario, that would have Saturn sitting in the eighth house. The eighth house can be a tricky house. The eighth house is this house of really having us really tap into our subconscious power, our subconscious intimate mental health abilities, our ability to be in community in terms of sharing resources, looking at and sharing not only just actual resources like inheritances and money, but sharing just a mental force kind of resources too. I find eighth house is always a more challenging house to talk about. So if you have any of these things in the eighth house, I really definitely, you want to, any of this, if North Node, South Node, Chiron, or Saturn sitting in that eighth house, or even the 12th house, those two houses, I say those houses are trickier because they are definitely more tapped into the subconscious. Okay. And so the unseen, those things that we're not always consciously aware of. And so when you're telling somebody, rise up in the unconscious, what are we talking about? I don't even know. What is that? That's a chart that we really want to be looking at how everything is kind of coming together, because you're not going to always you're going to have to be willing to really tap into whatever your spiritual practices, your faith, your beliefs, you're really, and really the state of your mental health. You're really going to have to go in those spaces to better understand that. But I think having any of these North Node, South Node, Chiron, or Saturn sitting in something like the 12th or the 8th house is super, super powerful. Super, super powerful. Because if you are in alignment and go into those elevated spaces, wow. And so with a South Node in the 8th house, it's like, oh, so I'm leaving my subconscious? Not necessarily, but that means your North Node is sitting in the second house. So it's asking you to be more resourceful for yourself. It's asking for you to see your tangible goods and to really understand the value, the self-worth assets and value, and not always just the worth in how you share your resources. Okay. So again, I talk about all of that in the South and the North Node. I did a series going through the houses, and that's in the playlist. So make sure you check that out. But yeah. So that, I'm almost at my 25-minute. These are the things I want you to think of this weekend. If you're watching this in the day that this is released, I want you to really pay attention to, where is my North Node? Where is my South Node? Where is my Chiron? Where is my Saturn? What are the signs attached to that? If you are able to kind of build and piece that together yourself, awesome. Ponder on that, reflect on that. Think about what are your goals and what have been some of the limited beliefs behind them? And at the same time, what are the things you really desire? And what are the things that are holding you back? Because the things that are holding us back and our limited beliefs, and sometimes we don't know our limited beliefs. Sometimes because they're our beliefs, we don't really know they're limited. I always say we have to start with what's holding us back, because when we can start to identify the intrusions, the challenges, the barriers, that, to me, that's how I work with people. That's how, even if you come to the I Choose Me event that I talked about at the beginning of this video, I'm going to talk about the barriers, because going into the barriers is how we can start to really unpack and unravel and better understand how we need to rebirth ourselves, how we need to realign ourselves, how we remove these barriers. Where are these barriers real? Or are these barriers limited beliefs, things that we've thought were real, and therefore we've done our whole life based on that? Okay. So I hope this, there's a lot more to this. I would love to do a reading with you if you're wanting to dig a little bit more into this. If you want to kind of just sit on this on your own, you just want to continue to go through the videos, yes, please do. And I would love again to have you join me on May 5th. It's going to be 7 p.m. Central Time. I didn't say that earlier, but that's all on my website, findingyourvoiceafter40.com/breakthrough, or just go to findingyourvoiceafter40.com, or just go to what's scrolling at the bottom, or go to the description of this video. I got the links everywhere, y'all. I got the links everywhere. You can always email info@findingyourvoiceafter40.com. Also, if you have questions, but that's a free event where, again, I'll tell more of my barriers, more of the things for me, how I understood my rise up, and how there is, again, like I said, a bit of an intentional formula or an intentional kind of steps and pathway that you can use in addition to when you have this, when you know this. And I didn't know, when I was going through a lot of the things I just talked about, I didn't know my astrology that well. Like I knew astrology, I knew it probably more than the average person, but I hadn't dissected it the way that I started dissecting and really doing readings like it's been about 5 years since COVID hit, that I really started digging deeper. So the chart is just, again, you're going to do what you do. It's a mirror, kind of. So it's not like life won't exist if you don't know this, right? Because life is going to play itself out. It's a mirror. You're going to do it. But by understanding the chart, I think your intentionality behind it becomes stronger. And I think also the fears you may have, or the skepticism you may have, that creates this, hamster wheeling, that's what we can start to remove. So we can move through the challenge, move through the hard, and not perseverate on it, right? So, all right. Well, that's all I got. You guys have an amazing day whenever you're watching this, however you're watching this. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like. If this resonated, make sure you share. Again, I don't believe we'll have a new video up next week, but I'll make sure I put a post to remind you to go over to, or I'll put a short of the Taurus energy, go back and watch that video. And so I want to say in 2 weeks, I'll be back and we'll really dig into that lovely Taurus, some aspects of Taurus. We'll probably talk a lot about the second house because that is what Taurus rules, and dig into maybe some of the current transits and how Taurus might be impacted. I don't know. I'm kind of a spontaneous person. I have Mercury, I have Sag Mercury. So I kind of am like, oh, let's go here. We'll see. All right, you guys be good. I hope this was helpful to you. Rise up and find your personal rebirth and renewal. All right, you take care. Bye, everybody.